Welcome, PF Warriors, to a medical message for an update about an important clinical trial for patients with idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis, or IPF. My name is Shelley Mathis. I'm Executive Director of Educational Programming with the PF Warriors International Support Group. Today, we are thrilled to have Dr. Susan Mathai joining us to give us this update on STOP IPF clinical trials. For those of you who haven't met Dr. Mathai yet, she is an advanced lung disease and pulmonary transplant physician at Baylor University Medical Center in Dallas. Dr. Mathai, thank you so much for joining us today, and tell us about this investigational drug you're helping to evaluate.
Yeah, so about a year ago, I joined you guys with the PF Warriors for a message to get the word out about the trial called STOP IPF. So that stands for saracatinib in the treatment of patients with idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis. And we wanted to give an update. So it's studying saracatinib, which is a drug that has been investigated for its use in other diseases. Looking at its potential as an antifibrotic agent in IPF. And so we're looking at having patients who are not on treatment with one of the approved FDA treatments and not on any other clinical trials, take either saracatinib or placebo for 6 months to see, for one, how the drug is tolerated in patients with IPF, but also to see whether it has any signal for efficacy in kind of preventing progression of the disease. We initially, when we spoke last year, and I introduced the trial to everybody in 2022, the randomization schema was 1-to-1. That means that a person interested in the trial, once randomized or enrolled in the trial, would have a 50% chance of getting saracatinib, the active study drug, and 50% chance of getting the placebo. Due to some changes in the analysis of the analysis we're planning with the data and in the protocol overall, we're now able to randomize at an 8-to-1 ratio. That means that for out of every 9 patients that are randomized in the trial, 8 will get active study drug and 1 will get placebo. So it's still a placebo-controlled trial in that way, but in the way that there are still going to be patients that are coming into the trial that receive placebo, but there's a higher chance than there was before about getting active study drug. The reason we wanted to get this information out is, for one, it's a change to the protocol, and that is reflected on our clinicaltrials.gov study information site. So if you look up STOP IPF on clinicaltrials.gov, you can see the whole protocol, and it will reflect kind of what I'm going over right now. But additionally, we know from our experience caring for patients and talking to patients about clinical trials that sometimes patients are hesitant to be enrolled in clinical trials if there's a 50% chance that they may be getting a placebo. And so we wanted to make sure people know about this update in case it changes how they perceive their personal risks and potential personal benefits of being in the trial. We here at BUMC in Dallas are one of 4 sites. So the other enrolling sites are National Jewish Health in Denver, Yale University School of Medicine up in New Haven, Connecticut, and Mount Sinai in New York City. So we know that you guys are an international organization, so we wanted people to know about this change in the protocol and know that they can reach out to us, to any one of the sites, if they're interested in being part of it.
Dr. Mathai, do you need to see the patients in person when they enroll, or what kind of time commitment would they have?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. So the overall participation, like the study duration that a subject in the trial would be part of this, would be about 28 weeks. So 24 weeks on the study drug, either placebo or saracatinib, and then a follow-up period for 4 additional weeks. In order to be in any clinical trial, you have to kind of go through a screening visit where we do an assessment of the patient and also go over and make sure that all of the inclusion criteria and stuff are met. A lot of patients who are interested will talk to us beforehand. So before making an actual appointment, like agreeing to consent to the trial and coming in for a screening visit, you can always send us information and kind of to get a sense of whether you would be a candidate or not. So often I will have a conversation with interested patients over the phone and get an understanding of, okay, are we clear on the diagnosis, what their experience has been, what their understanding of things are. And then if everything seems like it makes sense for the patient and they're still interested, then we can formally bring people in to do the formal in-person screening visit. In most clinical trials, I won't say all, but in most clinical trials and in this one, there are in-person visits intermittently. So there'll be some check-ins where a study coordinator will call you to check in on things. But then additionally, there'll be visits, in this case, every few weeks with safety checks and lung function testing. That's all part of the study protocol and covered under the study protocol.
For patients who do join this trial, if there are some out-of-pocket expenses like parking or, gas for their car or overnight, is there any reimbursement for them?
Yeah, so with we're assessing that on a case by case basis. So if there are significant travel considerations, we don't want patients to have an undue burden to participate in trials. It's important for trials to, for us that like our trials are accessible. So depending on exactly how much support a patient would need, we can we have the ability to assess that on a case by case basis. So definitely ask if that is something that might factor into your decision making, because I think there are resources for that.
That would be good, because I'm just thinking of people who would travel to the North Texas area. It's a lot more spread out than, say, Yale is. That's got a lot more density around Yale. Okay, so we will put this out on our page, and you can, I guess, pick the region that you would like to participate in if you're an IPF patient.
Our phone number for our center is 214-820-6856. And you can always email me at susan.mathai@bswhealth.org if you want to talk more about being in this trial. And certainly, of course, if you're ever interested in being, a patient here or something, of course, but importantly, if you have questions or think that you want to talk a little bit before, making some decisions and stuff. So we're always happy to chat with people. And like I said, we're only one of 4 sites. So if there are patients who are, if you reach out to us, and I think that you geographically would be better to talk with one of the teams at Yale or New York City or in Denver, we will forward your information with your permission to those teams.
This is wonderful news, and I'm sure we would all like to stop IPF for certain.
For sure, it's a great trial name.
Yeah. Dr. Mathai, thank you for this information, and for anyone who would like to learn more about this opportunity in an area near you, we will be putting the information up on our Facebook page and our website. We hope some of you who fit the criteria will help with this trial. There are so many ways you can help to pave the way for improved treatments to stop IPF. Thank you for joining us for this medical message, and see you for next time.